So Elizabeth Warren, or as we used to call her on my team at Fox News, Chief Lies a Lot, was out there doing more lying last night, this time about J.D. Vance.
Trust Donald Trump and J.D. Vance to look out for your family? Shoot, I wouldn't let those guys, I wouldn't trust them to move my couch.
Everybody knows it was a reference to this obvious lie. No one is claiming it's true other than loons like Chelsea Handler about J.D. Vance allegedly putting something in his book about a couch, and it's not true, and it's been debunked, but she just thought it would be great for her to get a snarky line out there about J.D. Vance. Well, I hope she enjoyed the raucous laughter and applause, because things turned for her in the course of about 14 hours. She thought she'd be getting a pass by going on CNBC this morning because she loves to talk about economic policy. And she didn't expect to run into the buzzsaw that is Joe Kernan, who is not some far left guy who gives everybody a pass. I know him a little, and this guy's funny, and he's a straight shooter. And he gave somebody else from the Harris team yesterday a very hard time about Harris's claim that these agricultural companies and shopping companies or food product companies are gouging people. And she's going to be our savior, and she's going to step in, and she's going to stop them with their huge profit margins from taking advantage of tough times. So he had a great interview with somebody yesterday, and it happened to Elizabeth Warren again today. And let me just tell you before I get to it, Harris doubled down on this. She didn't explicitly say the price gouging thing yesterday or on last night when she gave her speech. She had said the policy the previous Friday, a week ago today. This is how she phrased it last night. She just said, I will bring together labor and workers and small business owners and entrepreneurs and American companies to create jobs. Okay. You're going to, how? But no, that's not in there. To grow our economy and to lower the cost of everyday needs like healthcare, housing, and groceries. Now, if you read between the lines there, she's getting Marxist-y, like her dad. Like, it's not up to the federal government to lower the price of groceries, but she thinks it's her purview. And this is what she's been saying more explicitly over the past week, that she's got to stop the price gouging at the supermarket. Here's Elizabeth Warren trying to repeat that nonsense on CNBC this morning.
The grocery chains have a 2% profit margin. How about Apple with 50% or 40%? How do you decide? This is not the government's place to do these things. It's a fool's errand.
But one of the causes of prices going up is that there are companies that have market dominance that have said, oh, this is a moment when everyone is talking about...
Okay, give me another. Name another one. Give me an instance.
Please, states have tools to deal with this locally. But right now, we want to make sure that the FTC has the tools to do it nationally.
Senator,
it's just another tool in the toolbox to say we support
for a state of emergency.
Is it for a state of emergency?
Senator,
that the whole point is to
companies learn how to do this?
I let you finish your argument.
Yeah, but I know, but now
did you invite me on
point.
here just to lecture to me?
No, I just want to ask you.
The whole point is to get markets that are more competitive.
It's not about diverting the attention away from the real issues that might actually help the middle class that you always talk about helping. For 40 years, companies didn't know how to price gouge until 3.5 years ago.
The American people know what's happening in pricing. They understand that they are being gouged on prices.
Senator?
And who they blame for that are these giant corporations.
No, they blame the Biden administration.
No, you blame the Biden administration.
No, I don't blame,
because you cannot bear the notion that sometimes these competitive markets are in fact not competitive.
Wow. Charles, it's so wonderful to see someone in the media do his job, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. You know, the reason that is especially satisfying is that Elizabeth Warren actually knows that what she's saying is nonsense. This is not some rando on the street who's been misinformed, didn't have any opportunities. Elizabeth Warren knows that that is nonsense, and she knows that what she is doing is peddling it in service of the Harris campaign, because the Harris campaign has a political, not an economic, a political problem to solve. That being that Harris has to do two things that are incompatible. The first thing she has to do is the Clinton-esque "I feel your pain" on the price of groceries and everything else. She has to acknowledge, as a presidential candidate, that the cost of basic necessities has gone up a great deal in the last 3.5 years. The second thing that Kamala Harris has to do is shift the blame away from herself. Because while a genuine outsider would be able to say, everything's got more expensive, I will fix it, it doesn't make a great deal of sense for Harris to do that when she's the vice president of the United States. And she's actually on camera being the tying vote, breaking the tying vote on many of the bills that flooded the economy with money and helped, not completely on their own, but helped to cause the inflation that we've seen. So Harris has this big problem. How do you say, I understand that it's a big problem that groceries are so expensive, without that blame coming back to her? And so what she's hit on is this preposterous notion that grocery chains that make about 1.2% profit every year have, and this seems to have started on January 21st, 2021, magically, been profiteering, price gouging, or what you will. It's never quite explained, by the way, why they don't do this during Republican administrations. Republicans are allegedly the friends of big business, and all they care about is helping their CEO buddies make millions of dollars. But while Trump was president, while George W. Bush was president, while Ronald Reagan was president, they declined to do this. So they did it during the Biden administration. This is her argument. It's insane nonsense. And I know there's been a great deal of discussion as to how the price gouging bill that Kamala Harris was talking about would actually not work and may indeed increase the cost of things. That matters. It matters that Harris's FTC would be the same as Biden's FTC, and would probably go down this route of its own volition. I'm not downplaying the policy disaster that would be this price gouging idea, but this is a political problem that Harris is trying to solve. And so, of course, Elizabeth Warren, who inexplicably is considered in the media as some sort of expert on economics who can be trusted to talk about the economy, dutifully this morning went on television to peddle this lie, and as you say, ran into a buzzsaw. And it's just delicious to see for that reason.
Oh, so delicious. I mean, as the kids say, shoot it into my veins. Like, I want more and more Joker. So this is perfect, though. Like, that plan she unveiled last Friday, she got pummeled by the left and the right. She reduced it down to this passing reference last night, how she's going to, take care of lower the cost of groceries for us, is perfect, Rich, because what she was speaking of was creating an opportunity economy, And of course, you're like, what's that? What does that mean? Like, what is Kamala Harris's version of that? You don't really have to look that hard to find out, because she did not just parachute onto the political scene. She's been vice president for 4 years. She ran for president the year before that. And she's made very clear what she thinks about when she thinks about the necessary opportunities out there. Fox News Digital put together a good budded soundbite. I'll show it to you, but I'm going to start with, do you guys remember Life of Julia under Barack Obama?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Yep. It was like the woman who's going to be living off the government teat from birth to death. And that's how Obama visioned your average American woman, Julia. She fully endorsed it. So did Biden. They created their own version. Her name was Linda, Life of Linda. And they put out a little cartoon early on in their administration telling us about how Linda's life would go. Linda worked in a factory. Here's page 1 of it. She's a working mom in Peoria, Illinois. She works at a local manufacturing facility as a production worker and earns $40,000 a year. She's pregnant with her son, Leo. Leo may or may not make it, depending on our abortion policies. No, sorry, I added that. Sorry. So, I'm going to get back to the abortion thing because they're so vapid in the way that they approach it. They couldn't care less about the life inside a mother. Okay, you got to laugh or cry. Back to Kamala. She narrated this little cartoon, and then she's been all over the record on what she means by opportunity. Take a listen.
So there's a big difference between equality and equity.
equality suggests, oh, everyone should get the same amount. The problem with that, not everybody's starting out from the same place. So if we're all getting the same amount, but you started out back there and I started out over here, we can get the same amount, but you're still gonna be that far back behind me. It's about giving people the resources and the support they need so that everyone can be on equal footing and then compete on equal footing. Equitable treatment means we all end up at the same place.
Got it, Rich? Americans have a right
I do get it.
to end up at the same place.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it makes your ears hurt. I mean, it's so vacuous. And then what she's getting at is so un-American and unfair, right? Even Bernie Sanders, an avowed socialist, I think it was on the Bill Maher show a couple years ago, was asked about, does he favor equality or equity? And he said equality, right? Equality of opportunity. We can't guarantee equal results, but she's saying equal results there. And it's just an instance. She had this poolside the other day in front of her plane or next to her plane, and she's asked how she's going to pay for this program. I'm sure you saw this, probably talked about it. And she said return on investment 5 or 6 times, right? And that's what you do when you're a student who's been caught out, who hasn't really studied, right? You're asked by your teacher, professor, what's Moby Dick about? You've skimmed the Cliff Notes or Spark Notes, whatever it is, man versus nature, right? And they said, well, what happens during the book? Well, it's man versus nature. That happens. How does it end? Well, it ends with a metaphor about man versus, that's all you know. That's her level of understanding of economics. There's no return on investment on the vast majority of the stuff. Occasionally you get return on investment on things like the Erie Canal or winning World War II, but these social welfare programs, no.
Some Americans enjoy using their credit cards because it can be a hassle-free way to pay, not to mention a secure one. But our sponsor, the American Payments Coalition, says that some DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. They say the bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that could jeopardize your data security and your rewards. They say corporate megastores will make more money, and guess who will wind up paying the price? You. Find out more info at guardyourcard.com and consider telling Congress to guard your card while you're there, too. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.